Guys, welcome to our mental health rally, breaking free of the prison of your mind. And today I'm here with my husband, Mike Kenyon.
The one and only.
The one and only.
There's actually several other Mike Kenyons though.
We are going to be chatting about men and mental health. Excited to share this with you. We hope this rally helps some people, and if it helps one person, right? That's the objective.
Yeah, absolutely.
It helps one person.
If it helps one person.
All right, let's get started. About men and mental health and your perspective on that. So I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Well, as has been said several times throughout this entire rally, I know Donna mentioned it in her video, you've mentioned it a few times, everybody has mental health.
Yeah, Carrie mentioned it in her video.
Everybody has times where they're struggling, and that is the case whether you're male or female.
Right.
It's not just a woman thing.
Yes.
Men go through hard times too. Men feel anxiety. Men feel depression.
Successful in his job. He's one of the top people. Just look up in here. He's one of the top people in his job. So it's, he's really successful, and he's still dealing with mental health. Like, this isn't just like somebody who, and like, my point is it comes in all forms. It comes in laying on the couch. It comes in overworking. It comes in, for me, I would have to shut all the windows and lay on the bed. For you, it's I feel like it manifests in overworking.
Yeah.
Like throwing yourself into your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all it is at the end of the day, it's a way to distract yourself from the emotions that you're feeling. Those certain things like overworking. A lot of guys I know will become completely absorbed in their jobs, in work, in just anything they can do to try to avoid feeling emotions. And one thing that, unfortunately, there's this stigma around men and mental health that's been around for a long time, that is that men shouldn't feel emotions.
Right.
We have to be tough, man up. We are the generation that is working to break all of these stigmas and these misconceptions that surround mental health.
Right.
But men definitely feel it too. Men go through times of depression. We go through times of, anxiety, and a lot of us do find ways to distract because we're afraid to just admit that we are feeling.
Right.
I personally, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs in my life. All through high school, I was in an abusive relationship, which still carries an effect on me today. And that's one of the main things that I work on in EMDR is...
And you've used a technique, you said, called EFT.
EFT as well. That really helps a lot.
We'll put some information both about EMDR and EFT in the comments, or in the description.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like all of those techniques, they work really well to try to connect the two different halves of your brain. There's the left side, which is logic and reason, and the right side of your brain, which is emotion and creativity. Mm-hmm. And when you can connect those two hemispheres, a lot of the stuff that you're going through, a lot of the emotions you're feeling, you can connect that to logical memories. You can connect it to... try to connect it to what's actually at the root of what is causing these negative
you're
emotions.
Saying in the moment you might be frustrated with your brother or your wife or your child or your parent or your coworkers.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, if it's not reflecting something that's unhealed in you, then you wouldn't need to necessarily medicate over it.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't necessarily need to overwork or throw yourself into eating or your phone or whatever. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know if on the interview you did with Donna, if it was brought up that a lot of our development of who we are, our reactions to things, our emotions, a lot of that's developed by the age of 6.
Right.
So when you get triggered by something. It could be something as simple as someone cutting you off in traffic and you just snap, you lose your temper.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if you really go back...
And for men, it's that temper. It's that
yes,
anger a lot of the
I
time.
feel like a lot of men do. That is their go-to.
Because that's safe, you know.
And one thing that I've had to learn is that anger is actually a secondary emotion. When you're unleashing anger, when you're feeling that, when you're venting, when you're yelling, you're screaming at the person in traffic, there's underlying emotions there. You're not just an angry person. There's something else there that's unhealed when you're out, when you're lashing out like that. It could be fear. That's one thing for me. I used to get really, really angry if somebody would, drive recklessly around me and my family. I would scream. I'd lay on the horn. I'd flash my lights at them. I'd, try to cut them off and drive them off the road, which is bad for them. Yeah. Cuts them off or scares them, and really, at the end of the day, it's not that I'm angry at them for doing what they did. It's that I'm triggered by a fear response. It's a fear response to think they're driving recklessly, and that could have negative impacts on my family, the people that I love.
Right.
They could hurt somebody.
Right. And when in turn, you're almost like manifesting where we could get hurt in the car because you're reacting in a way that could cause an accident.
Yeah. And it's interesting just having that realization.
What our fear is, we manifest it.
That's true. And being able to go in and, it was through therapy that I was able to help learn this. And it helps because it just makes things so much less hectic. Your heart doesn't race as much. Now when somebody cuts me off, I don't freak out. I don't start screaming. They can't hear me if I'm yelling. That's one thing people forget. They lose their temper. They start screaming at their windshield, and they just look like a fool because nobody hears them. The person who
and your
who did
heart
you wrong,
rate's getting up. You're releasing chemicals in your body. You're damaging yourself.
Exactly.
All because they made you angry, which just reflects a fear back in you. So was therapy something that you've done your whole life? Or
No.
was that supported by your family? Did you have to have some mindset shifts?
Well, it definitely took a mindset shift. I had to get over a lot of the, I guess the doubt that I had around it. I thought, how can this possibly help me? What could possibly be wrong with me? I honestly thought, I'm perfectly fine. I've got no problems. I'm happy.
Right.
Nothing bothers me. It all rolls off my chest.
Right.
And then I get angry at something. Or growing up.
Manifests in our relationship in different ways.
Exactly. There was still that mentality, like I mentioned before, this idea that, especially men shouldn't feel emotions. Men don't get sad. We don't get depression. There's nothing that can hurt us.
Right.
We're too strong for that.
Right.
People need to start encouraging other people
Right.
to seek the help that they need.
Right.
Someone might not realize that they need to just go sit down and talk to somebody.
Right.
Like I said, I was in an abusive relationship all through high school and into college. I went through some really tough times. There was times where I didn't want to live anymore because I saw no way out. And there was some deep core issue within myself that allowed the abuse to continue.
Right.
And it wasn't really encouraged to seek that help to find out what that issue was. One of the other mindset shifts that I actually had to go through was to set aside that ego that is driven into me from a young age, that men don't get emotions. We don't have emotions. What is...
I don't catch that.
I don't... Sadness, what is that?
Right.
Men don't cry. What I had to do though was step back and set that all aside. Set those phrases that were on repeat in my head. To set that aside. The very first thing that you'll realize is you're going to start to reflect on all those things that you're doing that you're really not happy with yourself about.
Right.
And when
but
I really
that's not
thought
who you
about
are because,
of course,
right? Those things aren't who you are. And if
no,
we
they
make them
don't.
Who we are, then that's ego. But they're just actions that we do, and it's like, okay, why are we doing that? I see what you're saying.
Exactly. Why do I, experience significant road rage? Why do I, start to panic when things aren't going right?
Right.
And those kind of things, if you step back and you set aside that subconscious reel for a second and quiet that down for a moment, you can look within yourself and say, where is there room for improvement here?
Right.
And that's what really set it off for me, was
striving for excellence.
Yeah,
basically.
Absolutely.
Right.
Not for perfection. Nobody can be perfect, but just striving to be a better version of myself, because we might not realize it, but our reactions to things, our emotions, they can have effect on those people around us that are closest to us, those that love us. So,
when you start
like
to
you
see
mentioned,
that happen.
when I'd get angry driving, it would scare you guys, it would scare the kids.
Right.
And I stepped back for a moment and said, what kind of example am I setting for them?
Right.
What am I setting up for the future?
Right.
And
for our sons, especially.
Do I want
for
them
our
to
daughters.
act this way when they're grown up?
So what are your suggestions in supporting, a man that's, an important person, your father, your brother? Like, what would something be that you could share with people that, how they could support a man in their mental health?
That's a really good question. I think I speak for a lot of guys when I say that there's this fear deep down that if we admit that we're not happy and that nothing's bothering us, we're going to be viewed as lesser of a person.
Right.
So, for me, there was this subconscious fear that, well, if I say that, I'm not in control, buddy.
Right.
And this goes for men, women, children. They will still be loved and still cared about, and they still matter, even if they admit
that they're struggling.
That they need help.
I think that's good advice.
That's a big fear of a lot of people.
That they don't matter.
Of
Yeah, and reach out for help. It's okay. We're just a bridge, and we're going to share resources. And I am not a therapist, but reach out. There is help, and there's hope.
But break the stigma. Be there for people.
Right, and be there for yourself. Breaking the stigma starts within us.
Yes.
When we break the stigma for ourselves, when we break the stigma inside of ourselves.
That's a really good point.
The stigma can only go as far as you allow it. If nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent, Eleanor Roosevelt. And so yes, society might say what they say. And yes, but you're not hearing the people like me and Mike and Carrie and, all the other people we're going to interview and Donna who are saying it's okay, right? You're hearing the voices louder that say it's not okay. Why is that? It's because you hold the stigma inside of you. And the only person who can break that is you. The place where that begins and ends is you. And that's the thing. We can't change society till we change ourselves. And, that's the most powerful piece. So thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Thank you for being part of this rally. Remember that we all have mental wellness. We all have mental health. And it's okay to reach out. Please reach out if you need help. And we will provide resources in this mental health rally for people where they can reach out, and not just suicide hotlines. Not just suicide hotlines, but how you find a therapist. How you find the therapist that's right for you, and that it's okay if the therapist doesn't fit you. You can find a new therapist, and that's okay. I've been through like 8 of them. So, All right, have a great day, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Well, we are parents. How do we do this? So, all right, we are back, even though you don't realize and go. No, blah, 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 blah. I'll cut that out.
Blooper reel.
All right. All right.